Yeah, you ready to go, Amy?
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. Ready to roll.
Thanks, Betty. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for attending Why Diets Don't Matter. We've got a special guest here, Amy Tsai, health and fitness coach. We're excited to have her because she's going to talk about some of her specialties and her thoughts about why diets don't work, and she's going to offer some alternatives to that. I encourage you. This is really Amy and I are Daryl. I'm the clinical respiratory health and wellness. I know a lot of you already. We're just going to have a back and forth conversation, easygoing, and we invite you to pose your questions in the chat or in the Q&A section. It looks like we already have a couple of questions already, and I'll keep the monitor to that. And Amy, why don't you introduce yourself and take it away?
All right. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks for having me here. It's been, I've known Daryl for a few years now, and we've always gotten along, which is a good thing. That goes a long way.
Yes.
Anyways, my name is Amy Tsai. My business is called Fit and Fierce Over 40. And what I do is I help women get off the diet treadmill once and for all. However, this applies to anyone. If you're a woman over 40 and you're interested in hearing more about what I do, there's a couple of, there's a private, it's free private Facebook group that you can join. And if you're a man, you can just connect with me on the regular Facebook. How's that? And I'm a long time fitness trainer here in the city of Toronto. And over the years, this is what I found is, I would train women, mostly women, a lot of them were, some men as well. And what would happen is they all wanted to have, be more toned, or they wanted to lose weight, the typical stuff. And when they would get to their ideal body weight, they were still unhappy with their bodies, which was, it was like, well, what do you mean? This is what you wanted, right? And they're like, yeah, but I'm still not happy. And then, so anyways, I put two and two together, and I realized that weight loss and being happy in your body are really two separate issues. And it's because of the diet culture that we connect the two together. People think that if I lose this X weight, then I will be happy. And a lot of times people are not happy even after the weight loss. So then I transitioned more into health and fitness coach, and to really more about coaching versus training women in the end. So what I follow at Fit and Fierce are the 5 pillars. And the 5 pillars that we follow are fun with exercise, because people believe that they have to suffer or hate their exercise to be fit or feel fit, which is not true, because the reality is if you don't like what you're doing, the chances of being consistent is probably not that likely, right? We can probably all agree with that. Yeah, right? It's like, okay, if you don't like running, it's like, why would I, it's like pulling teeth to go out for a jog. And then pillar 2 and 3 is I kind of talk about it together, and that's what why diets don't work is really all about. And pillar 2 is feel body confident, and pillar 3 is peace with food. And this is as a result of the diet culture. And then pillar 4 is when you get to a certain age, sleep changes. So pillar 4 is pillar 4 is get sound sleep, and pillar 5 is a fit and fierce community, because it's always more fun when you do things together as a group as opposed to doing things on your own, right? It's like, would you rather go for dinner by yourself or with your friends? Well, obviously, right? So when you belong to a community, you get guidance, support, and direction, which really means getting to your goal a lot faster. And that's the benefit of the community piece. So why diets don't work? Let's get to the juicy bits, right? Because I'll be like, what do you mean?
Good, yeah.
Okay, so everybody's been on diets, and there are things like keto is a big one right now. Paleo is still really big. And remember South Beach? Remember celery diet a few years ago? Like, hello, does that sound wrong?
Doesn't sound appetizing.
How much fun is being on a celery diet? Not that much fun. Anybody can confess to doing a celery diet? Anybody? I would love to know. And other things are like the Atkins, that was a pre-keto, even the things like Weight Watchers, diet apps on your phone, whether you're counting calories, counting consumable calories, or counting calories that you expend is also part of the diet culture. Getting on the scale is a diet culture. Measuring yourself is diet culture. And the latest one is the Noom. Noom, we've seen ads everywhere, right? About Noom. And we can talk about that too. So let's first define what dieting is. And I got a little what do you call it? definition, that's what it's called, to select or limit the food one eats to improve one's physical condition and or to lose weight. We can all agree with that, right? So I would love to know, what's the least amount of time you've been on a diet? Was it like a day, 2 days, a
Guys, type it
month?
in the chat if you guys got any
Type it
thoughts
in the
to put
chat.
that
Like,
in.
hey,
Type it
you
in
know
the
what?
chat. I
Let's
think
have
for
some fun
me,
with this.
5 minutes on Noom.
5 minutes
Says.
on.
That could be the fastest one. I think maybe for me it was less than a day.
Okay, the 5 minutes on Noom was the best one yet so far. The other one that I heard was 30 minutes. I thought 30 minutes was pretty laughable, but 5 minutes is like I would say that's so far on the top of the list in my opinion, so far in my experience. Okay, and how much fun are you guys having when you're dieting? I would love to know. It's 2 weeks. Okay, that's pretty good. How much fun is dieting? Yeah, not that. How satisfying is dieting? How delicious?
I don't know. I'm missing some of my carbs. I'm actually on the keto right now, and my wife and I sometimes we have some sugar cravings and some desire for some chips, and yeah, we have to suffer through that.
Yeah, I get it. And the thing is it's food that's not making us gain weight. It's not food that's making us gain weight, but food has been made to be the devil. Would everybody agree with that? Like all of a sudden a bag of chips, like, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be eating that. And then you start beating yourself up, but then you feel deprived if you don't eat it. Then you feel guilty if you have, like you're on this no-win situation, yes. Right? And like I said, like nobody's addicted to broccoli. Nobody's addicted to apples, right? We're addicted, not that people are addicted, but it's definitely, there's a reason why we enjoy those types of foods. Let's call them junk food, because at the end of the day, as junky as it is, it's pretty satisfying, right? And you should be allowed to eat those types of foods in all honesty. I mean, you definitely don't want to be eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week, or even, once a day, 7 days a week, but it's really in moderation. And the key here, the reason why diets don't work is because it's all about restrictions, right? You're told what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, and so on and so on. And the problem with that is because it's unsustainable, as we all know. When someone said 5 minutes, 2 weeks, and how much fun are you really having? Not that much fun. Like you feel so deprived, but then if you have it, you feel so guilty, right? And this is really the result of the diet culture. So we have calorie restriction, we have food restrictions, we have time restrictions. And at the end of the day, right? And at the end of the day, these diets don't know you from the hole in the wall, right, Daryl? Like they don't know your circumstances. They don't know your stresses. They have no
it's not
idea.
Individualized. You're totally right about that.
Yeah, it's not individualized. And as we all know, we're all very unique. Whether regardless of what anybody thinks, we are all very unique, and we all have very unique circumstances. You could be on your feet for 12, 13 hours a day, and then you've been told to eat like 1,200 calories. It's not sustainable. It's no fun, and it just makes people miserable, right? And so
I've been there for counting calories, and yeah, it's not easy. It's not hard, and I guess science is showing that it doesn't work.
Yeah,
and you guys, I know that Amy certainly enjoys her foods, actually, because I remember at a BNI meeting, you were at the breakfast. Actually, I saw your plate. You had all this amazing food on top of there, so you were definitely enjoying yourself. I could tell.
Yeah, I'm like everybody else. We love to eat food. It's delicious, right? And you're right. Diets can work. Okay, I'm not saying it's never going to work. It can work, and it's for a very short period of time and for a very small percentage of people. If you can stick to the guns and stick to the rules for however long you can stay on there for, it can work. But for what I found for women over 40, when you get to a certain age, it can be very difficult, right? And so the problem with diets, it's short term. It's unsustainable, as we all know, and there are real health repercussions. And one of the ones, an example I want to give you is one of my members in my community group is that she was on Bernstein's. Has anybody ever heard of Bernstein's diet? I don't know. Yeah, Bernstein's diet is basically, there's a couple offices here in Toronto. Basically, they inject you full of nutrients, and you're on a very minimal. I don't know how many calories, but it's very minimal. She went on it once. She lost all of her weight, gained it all back. She went on again, lost all of the weight, and gained it on back, and some more.
Wow.
Then she decided to go on it again for the third time. And so what happened was that she messed up all of her hormones. She messed up her metabolism, and it never resolved her weight issues, and it never resolved her body image issues. And she's a longtime friend of mine. She joined my group, and she's been struggling with body image issues since I've known her, and we've known each other for almost 25 years. Right? So it doesn't resolve your body image issues. It might resolve your weight issues for a moment in time. Right? So those are the biggest repercussions. And
You
the
know what's
reason
coming up for
why,
me, actually, Amy? Sorry to interrupt. Actually,
okay,
what's coming for me, actually, I don't know if a lot of people know on this webinar that I was actually an overweight kid when I was younger, actually, and I lost some of that weight, a lot of that weight, maybe around the turn of the century, 2000. But what I didn't realize, actually, if once to lose that weight, you also have to shed the old fat thinking as well. And so in here, I was still thinking that I was fat. And so I'm still a bit self-conscious with my body right now. And so I've learned that not just to lose the weight, but I also have to lose the weight in here.
that's right. And that's why they're two separate issues. So when you do lose the weight, you still have the body image issues that you still think that you're this bigger kid, but you're not. So that's the biggest problem, is that diets do not address the root cause. And the root causes, I've picked out three that I think are big, is emotional eating. It doesn't address emotional eating. So things like eating under stress, eating when you're procrastinating, eating when you're feeling a little blue. What are some of the big ones? For a form of distraction, sedation, punishment, frustration, anxiety is a big one. Loneliness is a big one, when we reach for food when we're not hungry. So it's not the food that's making people gain weight, it's what precedes it. So what's going on? What's going on in your mind? How are you feeling that's driving you to the food? Because it's not the food. It hasn't done anything. It's just sitting there, right? Right? Bernstein.
So sounds like some self-awareness is key. Is going to be key to slow it down here and have some self-awareness. That sounds like to kind of think about what you're doing, before you pick up the piece of food. You got to think about, what's this, what am I doing with this food here?
Exactly. You're ahead of me, Daryl. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the other two issues are self-worth. I've been working with women men too, but I've been in this industry for 25 years. I'm turning 52 this year. I think 52, third. Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm over 50. And it really doesn't address the self-belief, or the lack of self-worth is a big one for a lot of people.
Yes.
Past traumas, right, where it diminishes your confidence. It makes you feel like you are not worthy of being happy in your body, whether it's weight loss or body image, or a combination of those two things. Right? Does that make sense, Daryl?
Yes.
Right. So self-worth being at the very bottom, there would be self-love, self-respect, self-care further up. So it's really about peeling back all those onion layers to figure out why you're having such a difficult time losing weight. Because in the clients that I've worked with, is they don't realize, because people struggle. They go on the diet, off the diet, what we call yo-yo dieting. And I talked to this woman probably about 3 weeks ago, and she told me that she's been dieting since she was 12.
Yeah.
And she's now 59. 59. We're talking 40 years. Most women, or most people, it's like 20 to 30 years on average. But this woman was 40 years. And she finally realizes, wow, you know what? I haven't done the work. And that's why I've been struggling. And she even decided to get a procedure done where they the gastric bypass, where they kind of staple your stomach. And she got the daylight scared out of her by the information session, because they even tell you it's a very high risk procedure. So she decided not to do it and try to figure out what the root cause of her issue is, right? And it really, and she started dialing back. It stemmed from when she was a kid, right? Because that's what's when our subconscious is very vulnerable to information, and that's where we're getting programmed.
So
And
maybe,
then,
what happens if the person's not ready to, can you sense when a person's not ready to go there yet? And maybe they just want to do more of the surface level type of parts of the diet. What do you recommend?
They're not ready. They're not ready. But that's most people. Most people are not ready, and they're not willing to do the work. And it's because it seems too hard. And what tends to happen is when you deal with it once and for all, you never have to deal with it again. So when you deal with things like emotional eating, let's say you eat when you're anxious,
Yes.
if you deal with that and get it over with, you never have to deal with it again. But if you constantly are on this yo-yo dieting, happy, sad, high, low, it's peaks and valleys, and all it's doing is deteriorating your self-worth, deteriorating your it gets frustrating, it gets confusing, and you're at your wit's end, right? And that's what's happening. And so that's the self-worth piece. And then there's also the belief system, and it's a belief system about yourself. And it's also the belief system about the diet culture, because the diet culture, I'm going to give you some numbers here, and you can see how staggering it is. So in Canada, the diet culture industry is worth $7 billion with a B, billion dollars annually. And just to kind of give you an idea what the Americans, their diet culture is worth, it's worth $72 billion. And they're literally 10 times their population. So we're at about the same level. Right? So you've got this massive machine that's running. And on top of that, you have in the States where there are about 68% of adults are either obese or overweight. We're not that far behind. We're at like 66, 67. So we're only like 1 or 2 points behind the Americans. And so the numbers don't add up. So we got more than 50% of the people with a weight issue, but you got the diet industry is worth this many dollars. So why is it they just don't match up? And then on top of that, I would say 91%, these are women, but anyways, I'll give you this female statistic. 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies. So the numbers just don't add up. It doesn't make any sense, right? So how is it possible? So diets aren't working long term.
So what I hear from you is what something's got to change, because I remember we were just talking about yesterday, was it about gyms? Like, we've got more gyms than ever, but more people dealing with obesity, and so something is not working there. And it sounds like even at the diet level, the same issue, and so something's got to be switched differently to make it more specific to each person.
And exactly, and it's the diet culture, because when you think about leading up to the New Year's, like we're only in April. So can you imagine like what was going on in December and January? Okay, everybody, it's the new year. It's time for a new program. Or people are looking, they're seeking for motivation, and they're seeking for inspiration, and they're seeking for reminders. And the reality is when you love your body unconditionally, you are actually more than happy to look after it. In other words, you give it what it needs and wants, you get the sleep that you need, and like 80% of the time you're eating healthy, nutritious foods that are and when you love your body, these decisions, are very easy. They require no motivation, they require no inspiration, and they require no reminders.
What it reminds me when you're talking about that, about all these things, type in the chat if anybody's actually seen the movie called The Good Will Hunting. Amy, if you've seen that with Matt Damon and Robin Williams, fantastic movie. And I remember there's an episode where Robin Williams is cornering Matt Damon and saying, "It's not your fault." And Matt says, "Yeah, I know." But he says it like 10 times to the point where he starts to break down. And I think it's really important to point out that it's not your fault. And the blame game is not going to help. What can you do? How can we move forward? I think is the questions that we want to start to.
That's right. You're absolutely right. It's actually not any of our fault. It's not our fault. However, it is actually our responsibility to figure out what the issue is, right? So this is what happens to a lot of people. They're not happy with the way they look and feel. And when you're not happy with the way you look and feel, you don't want to pay attention to your body. You don't want to look at yourself. You don't want to feel your body. You're like this, right? So automatically you're detaching yourself from yourself. In other words, you don't want to look at yourself. You don't want anything to do with it. Maybe not to that extreme, but you tend to ignore it versus pay attention, right? So then what happens is you feel so gross that you think it's the diet that you need to go on. So then you go on the diet and then you last 5 minutes, 30 minutes, weeks, 2 weeks, or whatever it may be. And you might have some success. And the moment you come off, that weight starts to come back on. So all of a sudden, if you lasted 5 minutes, a week or two, how does that make you feel when you can't follow these diet rules? It makes you feel like crap. It makes you feel like there's something wrong with you, that you have no willpower, that you have no motivation, and that it's your fault, right? And all of a sudden that negative thinking starts to play. And then you say enough, you say these negative things enough, you start believing it. It becomes habitual to have these negative thought patterns, right? So now you got to deal with that, let alone the weight issue. So that's one of the biggest reasons why diets don't work. Because when you're told don't eat carbs, right? That's a huge one right now. Don't eat carbs. Don't drink soda. Da 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 da. You guys know the list. So what ends up happening is these foods are now on this list. We'll call it the forbidden food list. All of a sudden it's like, you go to a dinner party and there's like cake and cheese and this and that and everything. You're like, oh my God, I can't control. I've had people, like women, almost in tears, having to go to a dinner party and have to face this food in front of them because they feel like they can't control themselves, right? That's a horrible feeling, right? They feel like, oh my God, because the reality is when you're kids, whether you have kids of your own, we're all kids at some point. When your mom and dad tell you not to do something, what do you do automatically? Makes you want to go do that exact thing.
Oh, memories, yes.
Don't touch that. You're like, oh, I'm touching. This is like real basic human nature. Not just for kids, but just for humans in general, regardless of your age. So if you're told not to eat chips or not to eat carbs, it's the more you want it.
Yeah. There's a question here. I don't know if you want to address it now or maybe later, but Francis is saying here, what about being addicted to sugar?
Yes, I saw that. When you're addicted to sugar, there's a few things happening. So when we think about being healthy, we always think about our physical body, right? But the reality is we have the physical body, we have the mental, physical health, mental health, emotional health, and spiritual health, right? And to be healthy, you have to be balanced in all four of those. But we only have a tendency to focus on the physical health. And when things start to manifest in the physical health, it's really an imbalance of either one of those four things, not necessarily just your physical health. It just manifests itself in the physical health when you don't resolve those issues in those other three areas of your life. And the reason why I'm saying this is sugar on an emotional level is actually seeking love, like you're looking for love. That's the correlation in terms of emotion and sugar. So that's one. Two is there could be an imbalance in your gut because we got happy bacteria or good bacteria and bad bacteria. And when you start when there's an imbalance from stress, anxiety, or just poor eating habits, that bad bacteria starts to outweigh the good bacteria. And if you've ever heard of candida, for women, you can get candida in the vaginal area, but you can also get candida in your gut, in your intestines, in your gut flora. And if you have an addiction to sugar, because I've had it, I suffer from candida since I was like 35 and I'm 51. So it's literally up and down for me. And I've become very hypersensitive to sugar. And refined sugar is like you might as well just throw me off the cliff, right? And it's that feeling of that sugar, that addiction. It's like, oh my God, if I don't have it, like that feeling, that's candida. That's candida.
That's amazing. I heard a story about some guy who's actually was constantly drugged for a number of years, and they actually turned out, I think his gut was actually fermenting the sugar or something and causing all these issues. And I don't think I have that particular problem, but I do notice I'm starting to take some probiotics, and that's been able to help me with a lot with my digestive system. So working with a health practitioner makes a big difference.
Yes, the probiotics can help. So then it's like, why do I have a sugar issue? It could be stress, because when stress and anxiety as an emotion is carried in your gut. So you could be, and the thing with stress and anxiety is that you could be stressed and anxious in the conscious world. So if I said, hey, Daryl, are you feeling stressed? Like right now, Daryl doesn't look stressed, but he could be stressed because he runs a business, right? He's got rent to pay, and he's trying to serve his clients, and his stress could be up here.
Okay, don't remind me.
Right? And he could be like, I don't feel stressed, but it could be a subconscious stress as well. I don't have an anxious bone in my body, and nor do I have a stress. I don't carry any stress conscious, and never in my life. But I know that I've got some gut issues, and I know that I carry my stress and anxiety on a subconscious level. So that's why it's important when you look at health. It's all four of those things: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional, right? So it's all these layers that you got to look after, not just the physical world. And that's what we tend to focus on, because we do live in a 3D world, and of course I can understand that, right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Franz, if you have more questions about that, yeah, you know what? This is a combined arms approach. It's not just, you have your fighter jets to take over a country or something. It's always, the Army and the Navy, that kind of take over to win the battle or win the war. And so you're not just saying you just can't go just with carbs or just protein or just fats. It's, doing a combination of the three, and, what the spiritual, emotional, physical, and the
mental. Is that the one? Mental.
There we go. That makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference. So we talked about the belief systems. I talked about diet culture. I mean, the diet culture is so massive that we don't even know that we're in the diet culture. And we just think about the conversations that you're having amongst your friends, your peers, your coworkers, your family. Think about the conversations that we're having at the age that you're at. Oh, what diet are you? Oh, yeah, I lost 3 pounds or whatever it is. Oh, I'm on keto. I can't have this. Da, da, da. Think about the language. Think about the conversations. 99, I would probably say maybe not 100%, but we're talking like easily 80% of the population out there is entrenched into that diet culture that we don't even know it. We actually don't even know it. I even caught myself saying things like, I think I was biking last summer, and I was doing a Facebook Live, and I said, oh, I think I need to work out more, because I ate a big Costco bag of chips. And I don't even subscribe to that. It came out of my mouth. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that, right? But it just goes to show you, like, it's just all around us. You think about the food packaging, you think about things on a menu, things about, like it's just everywhere.
It's normalized. It's not.
It's normalized.
It is actual our culture, and so it's so hard to get out. And that's why I'm saying it's not your fault. And
that's right.
That's something I've heard myself, actually.
Yeah. And then, so, I talked about the one size fits all, being disconnected and detached from your body. And the further you detach yourself from yourself, the worse it is for you. I met another woman when I ran a workshop about a couple months ago. She struggled with her weight since she was a teenager. She was, overweight as a kid, and it just never got better for her. So she didn't want to deal with herself. She didn't want to look at her body. She didn't want to feel her body. She's now 40, whatever. And she's a successful lawyer. And she said to me, she goes, Amy, I don't even know if I'm hungry, because she's been so entrenched into the diet culture. She's always been told that breakfast is at 8, lunch is at 12, and dinner is at 5, right? So all of a sudden you don't know your hunger signals anymore, right? Because you're always being told.
Yeah. And eat everything on your plate. So
yeah, right? Yeah, so the blame game, we talked about metabolism, we didn't talk about hormones. So, when you get to a certain age, like for me, 52, being on things like keto, it's not for everybody. I know it's a big one, but I will have to, let me start off with something positive. So what keto has done is that it has made people eat more vegetables.
Okay.
It has. I've noticed it. I was like, oh, people are eating more vegetables than they used to. It's because of keto, which is great because I would have to say in 25 years of training clients, I would say most the people that I train they do a food journal for me, and their vegetable consumption was probably like 20% of their diet. 20%. And the thing with vegetables is all our nutrients, all the important nutrients, okay, not all of them, but a lot of them are in vegetables. So I just did a Facebook Live this morning talking about the fountain of youth. You know, like everybody, men and women, are always out there looking for, okay, how do I look younger? What do I do? What procedure? What fillers? This and that, blah, 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 right? And the reality is when you consume, you know, when you consume enough vegetables, whether in the form of eating it raw, cooked, or even juicing, it's truly the fountain of youth. It can really change your complexion, the texture of your skin in 2 weeks. I had a client that she wanted to start juicing. I said, no problem, let's start off easy. I said, she wanted something for her immune system. I said, no problem. I said, green apples and ginger. She did that for 2 weeks. She called them ginger shots. And then she just made a little glass and she drank that every day for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I saw her skin's tightened. She took 5 years off of her face in 2 weeks. So it's the power of the vegetables is unbelievable. And that's where, so that's the one good thing about keto is people are eating more vegetables. However, what's happening is, you know, we need carbohydrates. It's a macronutrient. The reason why it's a macronutrient is it's meant for energy. Energy in what? In your muscles, in your brain function, hormone function, body function. It is a required nutrient. Okay, so people that are having difficulty being on keto, it's because you need it, especially for women who are hormonal. I mean, I've heard people losing hair from not eating enough carb being on keto because they're not getting proper, their hormones are imbalanced as it is. And then you add keto on top of it, all of a sudden hair starts falling out. And I was talking to another woman yesterday. She goes, oh yeah, I'm on keto and I feel so much better. I believe that she feels better. However, she's having some hormone issues. And I believe that she's missing in some nutrients because of keto. And I'm not saying this is everybody's different. Okay. And everybody reacts differently to different things. And like I said, it's all individualized, right? So, you know, if you want to go low carb, like I didn't eat a whole lot of food Monday, Tuesday. Yesterday, my husband said, hey, you want to go for a bike ride? I was like, yeah, okay. So we did like 35K and I could feel it in my body that I didn't have enough energy to ride the way I wanted. Right. So it does impact. And I have another client who was on keto. And I remember she was telling me that she was getting the keto flu. I was like, what the heck is a keto flu? And she goes, oh, you basically get sick from not eating enough carbs. So I was like, are you crazy? You're making yourself ill from a diet so you can be a few pounds lighter. I said, you know, like that's like, think about it for a second, right? It's not ideal. You're really messing yourself up, especially as you get older because your hormones and things are doing this already, right? Does that make sense? But correlation doesn't equal causation. Keto flow or keto flu? Is that keto flow? I don't really know the terminology. I just remember her telling me and I was like, what? You're getting sick? So really, ultimately, what diets are doing is creating negative body image because of that forbidden food list. Food has become evil, right? We can all agree with that. And as well as creating a negative relationship with food, like, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be eating that. I'm going to lose control. If that piece of pie, like I can't just have one bite. I want the whole thing, right?
I didn't think, you know what it is. I didn't think about it that, you know, diets creates this negative attitude towards food because I just jumped right into it without a lot of thinking about it. So it's good to kind of slow down and think about that for a moment and you know, see what the impacts are. So I'm glad you brought that awareness.
Yeah, and it's really about, you know, to be healthy and to be healthy is really about tuning in, listening to your body, understanding how your body functions, right? We all know that if we ate you know, a tub of Haagen-Dazs, we're probably going to get sick. That's pretty kind of like obvious for some people because it's just so much big amount. But there's little signals. Sometimes your body's just like tapping you on the shoulder like this, as opposed to like a hit over the head, right? So it's understanding and listening to your body that way that's always going to get you better results. And the other thing too is loving your body, right? When you love your body unconditionally, and I would say at least 80%, I mean, if 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies, that's basically telling you 91% of women don't love their bodies, period, let alone unconditionally, right? And when you love your body unconditionally, you listen to your body, you give it what it needs and wants. So let's take kids, for example. You love your children unconditionally. You will do whatever it takes for them to be successful as an adult. You will do what it takes. Well, it's no different for our bodies. You got to love your body unconditionally, because when you don't love your body, you're coming from a negative space versus a positive space.
You know, it reminds me, my wife and I, we just got married. We went over to Japan actually, and I went to go to one of the bathhouses, and I go in, and I'm washing sitting down on this little stool, and you know, turning on the taps, and I'm washing myself, and I'm done like in 2 minutes. And then I kind of just take a quick glance around, and the Japanese men are actually taking their time to wash their body. And I was talking to a Japanese friend, and he said, yeah, they're not doing it to clean their body. I believe it is just to reconnect with
Yes,
them.
exactly.
And so I sat back down and took my time to kind of, you know, connect with my body, maybe to a point to love my body a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it makes a huge difference. And when you love your body, everything is effortless. You don't need to seek motivation. You don't need to seek inspiration. You don't need to be reminded what it is that your body needs or wants. You just know. You're just like, okay, you know what? No, I'm gonna pass on 2 slices of cake. I'm just gonna have a little sliver. It's like, that's enough for me, right? Like, you're quite satisfied, because you should be allowed to eat all the things that you want to eat unless it makes you sick. Right? So you should be allowed to eat cookies and cakes and, you know, cupcakes and chocolates and even pop and, you know, alcohol and so on and so on. I mean, of course, you don't want to go overboard, but, you know, like all my clients now, my community group, they're learning how to. We had to change. You know, we're learning how to change your thought pattern from negative to positive, and then tuning into your body and understanding what it needs and it wants. It's like, okay, you know what? Netflixing till you know 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when you got to get up for work at 8 a.m. isn't going to cut it, right? Because when you're tired from the moment you get up, well, guess what your day's going to be like? You're going to be like, oh, like you're just struggling through the day, right? And it's fake energy. You're basically draining your adrenals, you're raising your cortisol, and then you do that over and over and over again. You know, I teach a boot camp classes in Cabbagetown, and this woman, she had a car accident about 4 years ago, and she hasn't been the same. And now she's got joint pain everywhere, and she's getting injections in her knees and so on and so on. And I noticed that she's gained some weight. And I said to her, I said, hey, so is everything okay? And she goes, yeah, everything's good. I'm just really busy at work and And she's single. And I realized that, and I told her, I said, hey, because I've known her for many years, and she's telling me all her problems. And I said, hey, you know, I think what you need to take your sleep more seriously. I said, because you're operating at like 8, 9 out of 10 during the day, and then you get like 4 or 5 hours sleep, and then you do that all over again, day after day after day after day, it's going to catch up with you. I have a woman in my group, same thing. She was an A-type personality. She just go. Like, it was all about getting tasks done. She got through her list, and she's just, you know, and now she hurt her knee surgery, body pain everywhere. And I had a chat with her the other day, and she's like, yeah, I said, you need to think about what your life was like and why it is the way it is now. Is your body screaming at you to slow down? She's been to, you know, physiotherapists, Reiki, you name it. She's had every therapist. They're all telling her your stress level is up here. She goes, but I don't feel stressed. And the reason why you don't feel stressed is because we become so used to stress that it's become part of our day that we don't even recognize it in.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, it's that subconscious mind, subconscious stress. And she even has a watch as it goes, I'm only operating at 30 minutes of stress in a day. It's like, that's not accurate.
Yeah.
Did I answer everybody's questions?
There's one question here from Jennifer that says, thoughts about weight gain and menopause, please.
Yes, so that's a little trickier because your hormones are doing this and you're like, okay, what used to work doesn't work anymore, right? And it's, I always, when it comes to hormones, I want to take the guessing game right out of it because you're already uncomfortable as it is. It's hard to control these hormones, and definitely eating cleaner, having more fresh fruits and vegetables and cleaner food and less processed food is going to make a huge difference in how you feel in your hormones. That means things that affect your hormones, or alcohol is a big one. Okay, so if you are like your wine and your hormones out of whack and you're gaining weight and you feel crummy every day, wine, alcohol is a big one. Sugar, because really alcohol is sugar once it's digested into your body. It's going to affect your sleep. It's going to affect your mood, whether it's irritability, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, you name it. I've seen it all. And so you really got to start cleaning your diet. And if your diet is already clean, and you might just have to go see a naturopathic doctor. Daryl and I, yeah, naturopathic doctor can go a long way. Traditional doctors is not the best when it comes to female hormones, because I have one of my ladies in my group. She decided to go to a traditional doctor, Western medicine, and they put her on a bunch of hormone therapy, whatever, prescription drugs. And the problem with that is there's lots of side effects, right? And when you go the natural way through a naturopathic doctor, you're being they're using herbs, tinctures, and so on, natural remedies that can make a huge difference. So if you're at your wit's end in terms of your hormones, definitely go see a naturopathic doctor, but definitely cleaning up your eating habits. And it's literally a guessing game. Everybody's different. And if it's a weight issue and not a mood issue, naturopathic doctor can definitely help in that area as well, because there's different types of hormone tests that you can do depending on the severity of your issues. Can just get right to the answer. Who needs guessing? Who wants to guess every month, right? That's no fun. Get your answers right away and just get it dealt with, and you'll feel 100 times better a lot faster than trying to figure out what do I do? What do I do? Right? I'm a big believer in seeking for professional help.
It sounds like for me, I equate the guessing game to like the 80s when we didn't have Google or the internet back then. It's like, okay, it's what your parents said. You kind of go with it. And now that we have all this information at our fingertips and the professionals, you don't really have to guess anymore. You can go talk to someone to help you figure it out.
Yes, because you know what? When you're guessing, just like dieting, you're just throwing darts and you're hoping for the best. Like you're thinking you're aiming for the bullseye, but all of a sudden it goes off to the left. Okay, you take the next one, you throw another dart, you're trying to hit the bullseye, but it's going off to the right, right? So take the guessing game out. Seek help. And because every time you guess and you feel like you're failing, it can be very frustrating, and you can really feel like get down on yourself for it, right?
But the question, sorry, I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah.
So you're talking about to get support, but there must be a question here is how am I supposed to know who's good and how am I going to trust them? Sometimes a naturopathic doctor, it costs like $200 to go see them. So
I don't disagree.
It's quite an investment.
It's a huge investment. And this is what I went and got my hormone tested. It was like $250 for the initial consultation because it was an intake. It was like 90 minutes. And then the hormone test was $400. Then I had to go get the test results read to me, and that was another $150, and then the supplements on top of that. So I was looking at like close to $1,000. But here's the thing: if you have benefits, a lot of it some of it can get covered. That's one. And the reality is we have universal health care. We haven't really spent a whole lot of money on our own health outside of things like diets and whatever. We haven't spent a lot of money. So you got to spend $500 to $1,000. I mean, I'm not saying that you need to spend $1,000. Everybody's different depending on your issue. So what's $500 just so you can feel sane and you can feel better?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel good. And, like if you want to do the guessing game, absolutely go for it if you have the patience and whatever. But, I went and got mine done. It would have been a year ago. So I was 51. And it was the best money I could have spent, because I was like, okay, you know what? I never get sick. I don't have any prescription drugs. I've never had surgery. I've never had anything. So I was like, okay, what's $800 at the end of the day? Okay, I might have to, I'm gonna have to save some money here and there to come up with that money. But it was worth it for me in my
So this is where I think people have to switch gears and think about how to switch from a cost perspective to an investment perspective, and you're investing in yourself. Then you're gonna see those dividends down the road.
Exactly. Don't wait till you're at your wit's end, right? Because you want to do it as a preventative and not wait till you're like, oh my goodness, I can't take it anymore. I want to cry my eyes out every day. That's no fun, right? So the moment you feel something, you can't figure it out, go seek help. And it'll probably be cheaper than waiting till the very end, till it's too, not too late, but waiting too long can definitely be harder to manage as well. Right.
Before you move on, Amy, I'm actually going to start to put the link in, because I think you have a free monthly coaching. Is that right? And the next one is next Wednesday at 2 p.m. And so people can start to check that out here. So
yes, so I have free coaching every month, and it's the third Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. So if you have any questions about what you're going through, I'm happy to give you some free advice. It's kind of set up more like a Q&A, a free Q&A. And it's over a Zoom call, so we get to see each other, and I can help you, answer some questions for you, and point you in the right direction. I have that. And if you're a woman over 40, you can come join my private group. It's just a closed group, but it is free. There's some resources there. And then I also have the public Fit and Fierce page as well. It's like all these different things, right? And then you can also connect me on Facebook privately as well, as Amy Tsai. I'm happy to chat with anybody. And I'm trying to think of, are there any events coming up? Yeah, I do have a workshop next Thursday. I can't remember what it is. My assistant set it up. But if you join the group, or if you sign up for that Love Your Body Rendezvous, which is a free coaching, then you'll get notified what the event is. But it is next Thursday at 1:00 or something like that. And it's just more of this type of material. It's really about how to love yourself, because that's really the root of all happiness in your body, whether it's weight related, body image related, or anything else for that matter.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Now's the time to put some questions in the Q&A or in the chat. Let me check the Q&A. I haven't checked that in a while here. No, it's still the same there. So
yeah, looks like it's all in the chat.
Well, Amy, really, thank you very much here. It's what a great opportunity to actually see beyond the diet and see some of these other circles or rings that we haven't necessarily considered to make this combined arms approach to getting into. It's not just about losing weight; it's actually getting to better health, and how can we leverage the experts, the health experts and people that you trust, and what a great opportunity to get out there. And you have some great resources that you're sharing. So that's truly to have the free coaching every third Wednesday. That's amazing to offer that. So very generous.
Yeah, fun.
So
you can come on too, Daryl.
Yeah. Okay.
And your mom, Barbara, you got to come to the free coaching.
Thanks. Yes. So yeah, we can certainly do that. I'll try to work there. I'll send the links. Yes, I can also send the links via email, so that might be a little bit easier to access. And
yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always available. I'm always happy to help anybody that has questions, because at the end of the day, everybody deserves to be happy in their body. There doesn't need to be a reason. We just deserve it. We deserve to be happy, and that's it. Right? And those struggles are real, and they're no fun, right? And it's just if you've been struggling for years and decades, and this yo-yo diet, up and down, high, low, happy, sad is not a lot of fun. And I would love to help anybody that wants any help. But I wanted to thank you, Daryl, for this opportunity. It was always great to connect with you and to connect with your audience. And I look forward to next time.
What's the email address that people can get a hold of you?
Okay, yeah, I'll type it out. Hang on.
You type it in through. Okay, I'm going to type in mine if anybody has any questions. We do have something here that I'm doing for our BNI group, Amy. It's the Ask Me Anything campaign, and part of this is that we want to encourage people to bring all their health challenges, concerns, something that they feel awkward or embarrassed about, that to bring it to any of our people or practitioners, or you or myself. And we have a wide network of people. And if you're interested in hearing more about it or want to get solved, just bring it to us. And if we can't do it at either of our places, then we know somebody else that can. And I'm guessing to you, Amy, and same for me, we've seen amazing things that more people should know. And something like this diet culture and moving beyond that and seeing it for the whole person for who they are is valuable. So let's keep spreading the word out there. And guys, if you have any questions, you got our email addresses here. So love to hear any feedback or comments. So yeah.
Awesome.
So Amy and I will stay on until the last person leaves. Yeah, guys, thank you so much. And we'll send out a little email to follow up and get you a copy of this recording as well.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Hope you got some good bits out of it today.
See you later.